So I've ran a wide array of campaigns ranging from image personalization to fully personalized emails where we've only just got the body and the subject and we're leveraging tons of AI. In this video, I'll be showing some of the automations I leverage and the full breakdown of my campaign creation process. And so we can start with number one, which is the idea identification. So I leverage various tools to identify ideas. And so this is an example of a prompt in ChatGPT where we have an initial input and then we just ask ChatGPT to give us ideas. And we let the creativity of this application come up with those ideas for us. And if some are good, some are bad, it's fine. We just want to get some ideas. Other ways we get ideas are using tools such as Twain, Twain.ai, or Octave, for example. What these allow us to do is basically research websites of our different clients and then get different ideas. So as you can see, these are different emails that come from these different companies, right? And so we're getting this from Twain. Like I said, Octave is another platform that I really like to do this. And then once we have all of this stuff, we essentially start to look for the custom variables in those emails. And something that's really important that I do is I try to think of this from a leverage perspective, where what's a campaign that I can create once and then get leads forever. So I would much rather go after the widest TAM for the longest duration, even if my results may get reduced a little bit, because I don't want to have to constantly create new campaigns every single week. That's one of the parts. And so these are some of the different areas of difficulty that you can consider and that I consider. Is it hard to target? Is it a small TAM? Is it hard to personalize? So all of these different things, I'm thinking about them. And in my ideal circumstance, it would be hard to build, ensuring that the competition is less for that same type of campaign, but ridiculously easy to scale. And so an example of this is this type of campaign where it's actually quite hard to build an image personalization campaign like this. But as you could see when we read it, hey, Paul, this year's Paul 2.0 with company. He was recently recognized as the most productive man of the century. What's his secret? And then you've just got a person's face. You can literally put anything underneath the bottom of this and the email is still going to work, because the key thing with this type of email is that we're personalizing it to the individual. And so this is a campaign that scales extremely well for months, maybe years. I mean, it depends on how Google and Microsoft get with their deliverability stuff. But when I was running this, I was getting 1 in 50 to executives at great companies. And so it's great. Actually, I still run it today. So this is that. Another example is fully personalized emails. These ones, because they're leveraging tons of AI, regardless of your list building efforts, right? So you could just get a list of 1,000 people, get a list of 10,000 people, and just plop it in there. And then because of the way that you've prompted all of the AI mechanisms, it's going to be able to essentially send a personalized message to every single one of those people. And so what that means is that it's easy to scale. So if I want to scale to a different market, a different industry, a different target group, it just scales because it's a fully personalized email. So those are like by far my favorite, the easy to scale, hard to build campaigns. But let's go back to this one over here. So let's say that we identify this specific idea, and then we're going to go with this one. So the second thing we want to do is we want to identify the custom variables, and these are going to be what we're going to be personalizing in the future. And we simply just analyze this stuff. And so it's like, how hard is it going to be for me to find the city of the individuals? Okay, not hard. The company type, not hard. The solution, not hard. The example, not hard. So this is an easy email to like personalize. And so it's like, okay, so we've got this stuff. What is some other types of emails that we can create that share the same variables? And that's where we would go into a tool like ChatGPT, asking it to reformat this email. And we can even go further than this to like say like completely change this email, but keep the same variables. And I want you to mention these variables, solution, etc. Right? And so the next thing I do is I break that email down into different sections. So we've got the hook, we've got the body, the CTA. And so this email that you're seeing over here is this hook, this body, this CTA. And then we did that 2 more times with 2 other emails. So we've got another hook, another body, another CTA. And if you look at the CTAs, would you be interested in exploring this? Would you be open to a quick chat to see how we could support your efforts? Mind if I share more info? All of these are completely different, right? Mind if I share more info is completely different than asking for a meeting, which is completely different than asking if they're interested, right? And so we're trying to get different types of things to A/B test. But the way that we actually craft these emails is by mishmashing these different ideas together. And so we might actually take the hook from email 1 and then mash it with the body from email 2, which is then mashed with the CTA from email 3. And what this allows us to have is 20, like tons of email variations. So in this case, we've got 27 email variations. And so this is going to allow us to much easier identify the winning strategy. And again, we go back to the beginning, which is unlocking leverage. And so what we're trying to do here is identify the combination that works extremely well. Because once we found that, that's going to be the highest leverage thing that we can do. And so at that point, we can actually go further into the campaign and see, is there a way that we can take that winning formula and just make it fully personalized? Is there a way that we can take that winning formula and then make it easy to scale? But since we don't know the winning formula, this is how we would do it. We would test all of these different combinations together and then find which one of these works. Okay, so once we've got this, we then create the campaign and the table. We're doing this via automation. So since I'm a lead gen agency, I've got 90% of my systems automated, but you probably don't need to do that if you're not creating tons and tons of campaigns. But this is the automation. It basically just creates the clay table, creates the Smartlead campaign, adds all the settings, adds all the email accounts, updates the tables, all of this stuff. It does pretty much all of that stuff for us. And then it also links the campaign to the table for simplified list building. And so when we're talking about list building, we can actually just go ahead and go to the table where the campaign is linked to, and then just add the leads to the campaign table, rather than having a list of people and not knowing where to add it. And so that's how we simplify list building. And then step number 4 is using AI and enrichments to craft the campaign. So by the time we reach step 4, we already have the copywriting. So the copywriting comes from this identify idea section and then figuring out which sections we want to mishmash together. And then creating the campaigns and the table, that comes from the automation over here that's creating the campaign and the table. And again, if you're an agency, you want to have all of these systems optimized. And by the way, this is an example of how it looks for me. So I've got a campaign creation section where I know how many campaigns I need to create at all points in time. And as you can see, it just went up to 6 because that's how many campaigns I got to create today. And so, boom, we've created the campaign, we've created the table. Now, what the purpose of this table is going to be is to get the leads to the copy, right? So leads to copy. And so if I get a long list of people, it's going to be like, how do I get this long list of people to have all of these variables? So do I have their job titles? Okay, so I have their job titles. We can infer what the solution is based on their job titles. We can infer what their city is based on the city, on the custom variables. We can infer which example to use based on perhaps their LinkedIn bio or LinkedIn description or past job experience, right? And so that's what we're basically doing in these tables. It's like, we have a long list of people. How do we convert this long list of people into copy that actually gets the message across? And then from there, we take 10 to 50 leads, and we just want to test. We are adding those custom variables, and we're just testing all of those, right? We're also refining the prompts. We're reviewing the outputs and continuously testing to ensure that what the end user is going to see is what we actually want them to see. And this is one of those leverage things that I'm talking about, where it's like, you could actually spend 10 hours crafting this campaign and like really perfecting it, and it could be worth all of that time, because that one campaign could last several months, printing meetings with you doing absolutely no work, but you spent 10 hours refining all of that stuff. Because when we're doing this stuff at scale and you're using AI and you're using all of these things, a lot of the times it's saying things that don't even make sense to the person. It's like, no, it doesn't even make sense. But if you spend a lot of your time here in this AI enrichment testing section, you can make sure that every single person is getting the exact message that you would send manually. And when you do that, you can unlock leverage by crafting campaigns that are amazing. And so the last part here is reviewing the data, making adjustments, and documenting what worked. And so where we identify the ideas, another place is from our existing database of campaigns. And so when we've ran all of these campaigns for different clients across different industries, we can actually start to pinpoint some of the things that works. And how we do that is by having data, reviewing that data, and then documenting that stuff. And so I can actually just go into my Smartlead account, look at one of the campaigns, just take some of those variables out. I got a new idea for a different client, and then now I have something to play with. And then I mishmash that, get different variations, and then I get different things, put that in ChatGPT, get even more ideas. It's not going to ChatGPT. Get different ideas from ChatGPT and do all of that stuff again. So this is the final step that a lot of people miss. It's the reviewing data aspect and documenting, right? And then obviously you want to analyze how all of these combinations are working to figure out which one to eliminate and which one to keep going. And so, for example, we've got email 3A, B, and C, and each of them have sent an equal amount. But you'll notice that despite them sending an equal amount, email C is almost half of email A with regards to reply rates. And then it's also half of the positive reply rates. And so what does that mean? We should probably eliminate email C. And what we want to identify when we're looking at the copywriting is what's different about email B and C, A, B, and C. Is it the hook that's different? Is it the body that's different? Is it the hook? And so if we notice that email A and email C have the exact same hook, then clearly it's not the hook. But if we notice that the CTA for one of them is asking for a call, and then the CTA for another one is asking for more info, then we know that. But here's another thing that I want to mention. Just because it says this doesn't actually give you the full picture. And so it might actually be worth it for you to look in the actual inbox to see, all right, so it's more than half that responded positively to the call. But when we look at the actual master inbox, we might realize that we have 100% booking rate or a 66% booking rate with email 3. And then when we look at email A, we might notice that we have like a 10% booking rate or something like ridiculously small. And so if the goal is meetings booked, which one wins now? Probably email C. And so these do not give you the full picture. They just give you an idea, a starting point. But the master inbox is where I personally like to spend to determine where the actual answer is. And like I said, email C could very well be the winning angle from all of these because it's the one people are actually booking meetings on. So that is my campaign creation process in a nutshell. Hope you found that helpful.